beautiful for spacious skies, por tus olas de grano sambar, yo piscina takuti, sa ibabaw ng mga prutas. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. और वही चरे के साथ आज तेरा छाप la mer brilla. Verra tu verrière from sea to shining sea.
All right, folks, there you have it. It's a couple of days removed, but nonetheless, that commercial, America the Beautiful, the Coke ad, has stuck in my craw ever since I saw it. And I was reading a piece by Erica Anderson on victorygirlsblog.com. That's her page. We're going to try to get her on later in the week, saying that conservatives should not be upset by that ad. I think that ad was a disgrace. I think that ad is a slap in the face to America. It's not designed to bring people together. It's designed to separate us. It's designed to divide us. It's designed to show us that, hey, we're a multilingual society. We're a you can have as many ethnicities as you want. But when it comes to singing America the Beautiful and the Star-Spangled Banner and everything else that's a patriotic song, you better know how to say it in English or sing it in English if you want my respect. And to have it in these other languages, and I'll tell you what, just me. I'm not urging anyone to do anything. Not that I drink soda anyway. A Coca-Cola will never be in my house again until they apologize. And any Coke that is in my house, I will gladly spill down the sink, because I think they made a huge, huge mistake. Although I think they knew exactly what they were doing. Nonetheless, I believe it was a huge, huge mistake. And I think conservatives do have reason. Everybody has reason to be offended. I mean, what's next? The Star-Spangled Banner at games or at the Super Bowl in various languages intertwined? And that's going to show how unified we are and how diverse we are and how great we are as well? Baloney. Baloney. And don't think that the left wouldn't just go nuts, and you know what they would have. Starts with the big O, if they ever did something like that. So this is just one step away, in my opinion, from going there, where the national anthem will be sung in Spanish and this language and that language and then back to English. And wouldn't that be lovely? Shows who we are. No, it doesn't. Who we are is English-speaking America. And if you can't learn English and you don't love our history, then you don't belong in this country. That's my opinion. All right. So Coke blew it big time. Now, Barack Obama. Look, we've documented on this show over and over and over and over and over again that this man knows nothing about sports. He's certainly not the sports fan he pretends to be, whether it's the Miami Heats or Kaminsky Field or not being able to name a White Sox player. I mean, right on down the line, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And here he tweets out, if we could put up 46, here he tweets out a picture of him, I guess, superimposed somehow at somewhere. I don't even know if it's MetLife Stadium or not, throwing a football, okay? Throwing a football. Now, here's a guy who just recently gave an interview and criticized the violence in football, said if he had a son, he wouldn't let him play football. But yet he says, I'm a big football fan, and there he is throwing a football. But he doesn't like football very much. It's too violent, and his kid couldn't play football. But there he is, Mr. Quarterback. And then there's Hillary Clinton, who took a shot at Fox in a tweet. Here's 49. Let's put that up. She writes, it's so much more fun to watch Fox when it's someone else being blitzed and sacked. And then someone wrote under that, I know of 4 guys in Benghazi that got blitzed. It's too bad you weren't sacked for that. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, folks, Tony Dungy joins us with his lovely wife when we come back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
It's not embarrassing at all. I would never use that word. there's a lot of professional football players in that room, the locker room, that put a lot of hard work and effort into being here, into playing in that game. And the word embarrassing is an insulting word, to tell you the truth.
All right, folks, here we are, and welcome back, for those of you just joining us, to the Steve Malzberg Show. That was Peyton Manning after the game, responding to a reporter characterizing the Super Bowl loss as embarrassing, and he didn't take too kindly to that. Joining us now, I am so honored to have here in studio both Tony Dungy, won the Super Bowl as a coach, Super Bowl 41, when his Colts beat the Bears 29-17. Actually, it was 7 years ago today. So happy anniversary, Tony. And his lovely wife, Lauren Dungy, joins us. They are the co-authors of Uncommon Marriage, learning about lasting love and overcoming life's obstacles together. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Great to be with you.
Let me ask Lauren. Lauren, are you? I mean, I guess you're a big football fan, but you have to be, right?
I have to be. I have no choice.
So did you guys? Well, I know Tony was probably working, but you watch the game. You know, watch all the games and watch Tony's broadcasts on NBC.
I watch him every Sunday. I wouldn't miss it.
Okay, well, neither do I. So I guess we have something in common there. But
great.
Before we get to the book, and it really is, you know, I'm divorced, unfortunately. Luckily, I have a good relationship with my ex. But this book is, I think, something that everybody needs to read and be aware of. But let me ask you, Tony, what you just heard, Peyton Manning, you, of course, when you won the Super Bowl, as, might I add, as the first African-American head coach to win a Super Bowl 7 years ago today, Peyton Manning was your quarterback. So you're sitting there, you're watching the Super Bowl on Sunday. What's going through your mind?
I really felt for him. I wanted him to go out there and get that second Super Bowl. Everyone's talking about, you know, can he perform and can he do it in the big games? And I know how hard he prepares, what kind of year they had. But that's the thing about the Super Bowl. It's not like the NBA playoffs or NHL hockey where it's 4 games out of 7. It's a one-game knockout, and you've got to do it that day. Seattle played great. They kind of steamrolled them, and you have to give them all the credit.
There's a report out today, well, not a report, but Richard Sherman, Mr. Controversy himself, saying that the Seahawks cracked Peyton Manning's hand signals early on, and that enabled them to shut him down. I mean, I know, you know, Omaha, but do quarterbacks have unique, all of them? You were a quarterback in college, certainly. Do they all have unique hand signals, and do you put any credence into that report?
Well, Peyton and the Broncos do a lot with hand signals. I was there for 7 years. I don't know the hand signals. I don't know that you could pick them up and crack that code in a half or in the course of a game. I kind of dispute that. I think Seattle just has very good players. They played great. I don't know. You know, they watched a lot of film and that they were prepared. But to say you had the hand signals and that's what did it, I would doubt that.
Would you have given the MVP to Russell Wilson?
I would not. I think the MVP, I would have voted for Cliff Averill, one of the guys who started it for their defense early on, Cam Chancellor maybe. The defense got them the lead, and that's what won the game, and so that's what I would have said. And
finally, you before we turn the tide here a little bit, you were not inducted into the, not inducted, but voted into the Hall of Fame this go-around. Disappointed?
I'd have to say I was a little disappointed. I was very happy for Derek Brooks, one of the guys who was inducted, who played for me in Tampa. Marvin Harrison, I thought that was the biggest disappointment. Marvin was the best receiver in his era, caught more balls, more touchdowns per game than anybody that was on the list, and didn't make it in either. So that's part of the process. I was more disappointed for Marvin than I was for myself.
Now, talking about relationships here, you did a sit-down with Jonathan Martin, the Miami Dolphin player who left the team because of harassment or whatever you want to phrase it as, and you know, he talked about how the culture of the NFL, and he talked about the Dolphins and the pressure, and he'd like to come back, and Richie Incognito, he'd like to come back, and now we've gotten the release of over 1,000 text messages between the two. And you know, if you didn't know that Martin left the team, if they were both still on the team, you would have thought that this was something that they were both, if anybody's guilty, were both guilty of participating in. What's your take after speaking to Martin, and what's your take on the situation, and what should be done and what could be done?
Well, I interviewed Jonathan Martin for NBC, and I asked him about this, and he felt like a lot of things went over the top and that he was really under pressure in that locker room. And I asked him the very question, you know, with all these texts going back and forth, it seemed like you guys were friends. Was that the case? his answer to me very directly was, I was trying to be friends. It didn't work out. I think there's an investigation that is coming out in the next week from the NFL.
Right.
We'll get the whole story there, but the whole thing is very, very surprising. The biggest thing that I was hurt by and I was surprised is when I asked him if he had spoken to his coach about this, and he said not really. He told his coach he was having some personal problems that he had to deal with, but he never told him what was going on in the locker room. And I think that's what we have to change, whether it's Pee Wee football, junior high, high school, NFL. If you're having some problems, if there is some harassment, you've got to be able to go to your coaches, the people in charge, and speak to them about it.
All right, Tony Dungy and Lauren Dungy are here, and they are the author of a great new book, Uncommon Marriage, Learning About Lasting Love and Overcoming Life's Obstacles Together. Lauren, you guys have been married how long?
We've been married 31 years.
That is incredible.
Thank
And first, when you think of your marriage and overcoming obstacles, certainly the death of your son. I mean, to me, it's unimaginable as a father. Because so many times when something like a tragedy like that will separate couples, they will blame each other, resent each other, move away from each other. Yet that did not happen to you two.
No, it really didn't, and I think that was the big thing, and one of the lessons we try to talk about in the book is make sure you're coming together in those situations. We had to make a conscious effort not to let it separate us, to focus on the Lord, draw near to Him, and draw near to each other.
And Lauren, would you say that one of the successes to your uncommon marriage, and I guess that you could advise people who, I don't think anybody has a common marriage, is faith?
Definitely, faith plays a big part in having an uncommon marriage. Faith and then a love for the Lord and allowing Him to direct your path, allowing Him to direct you. And there's so much wisdom in the Bible, and we use the Bible daily to help us through the trials, the challenges that we experience, as well as the joys and the blessings.
And what would you say to somebody who said, I'm not that religious, or I don't have time, or to go to church, or he spends too much money, or she spends too much money. I mean, and by the way, so when you say uncommon marriage, why did you choose that title? Because I'm curious, is it because of the celebrity involved, or why would you say uncommon marriage? Why is that your marriage that's uncommon?
Well, we call it an uncommon marriage because it's an uncommon marriage is one where a husband and wife have Christ in the center. And we communicate, and we really work to hear each other's hearts on a daily basis. A communication and commitment with Christ is kind of like the winning formula for an uncommon marriage.
And Tony, I guess you've been around sports, and in sports, you maybe it's more prevalent than in the rest of life. I don't know, but you think men stray. They have groupies. Their fame and fortune takes them astray and aside. And I mean, not saying that you would, but I mean, how is it that you have lasted for over 30 years, being in a profession where you travel, you're on the road, you're even now with NBC. I mean, your responsibilities take you away from the love of your life so often.
Yeah, there are certainly obstacles in professional sports that get in the way of a marriage, no question about it. And you mentioned some of them right there. Living in the public eye is another one that's tough. But for us, we just really decided that we were going to rest on those biblical principles. That was going to be the foundation, and that we were going to have that communication and talk about things and make sure we didn't lose that. And that's tough when you have kids. We have 9 kids, and so that kind of infringes on you too.
Oh, yeah.
As well as the hours that I would spend at work, those kind of things. But if we decided and committed to each other, committed to that communication and keeping Christ at the center, we felt we could do it. And that's the message we wanted to get across in the book.
And you've been committed to an organization that urges fathers to be fathers. If Lauren, let me ask you, end with you. One word of advice, other than, and not to diminish it, other than the religious aspect of keeping a marriage working. What would you say?
Definitely communicating with your spouse on a daily basis. There's no question about it. If you're not on the same page and you're not communicating, you will grow apart. So that's very important.
And now Tony's proof of and word of advice would be, I agree, honey. Right?
Absolutely. Communicate that agreement all the time.
Hey, great luck with the book, Uncommon Marriage. Tony and Lauren Dungy, it's a pleasure to have you both here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Steve.
All right, folks, when we come back, our panel, Brian Kilmeade of Fox and Friends, and former ESPN radio host Jared Max will be here. A little more on the Super Bowl on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The